Drop-offs, the nemesis of many a mountain biker. In this video, I'll talk you through the common mistakes people make when trying to ride drops and how to avoid them. Mistake number one is just going for it and rolling off that drop-off. You will get away with that if the drop-off isn't too big. You see like this, if I roll my front wheel off and just get to the back of the bike, it's not big enough to hit my chainring. But when the drop-off gets much bigger than this, much higher than your axle height, you'll start dragging your chainring and can go over the bars. So to avoid making this mistake, you just need to get better at judging the size of drop-offs and know when they're too big just to be able to roll off them. So when it gets that size, you've then got to start lifting your front wheel or using a bit of technique so you don't just bomb that front wheel down to the ground straight away. So this is an important one to try and fix if you're doing that, because not only can you lose your balance, but also just because you're using your muscles to do it, actually your weight stays near the front of the bike. Therefore, if you get the timing wrong and land your front wheel early, your weight is on that front wheel as well. So the right technique, check out my manual videos. It's all about using your weight. So going down and back, getting your hips over the back of the bike, and really your hands just come back with you. So the bars should stay straight. Weight is nice and safe over the rear of the bike. Another bad technique that can lift the front wheel but can lead to problems if you get it wrong is rather than just pull on the bars, it's trying to use your weight to go up. So standing up tall can swing the weight up and pull the front wheel up, but really what happens then is you're standing really tall, and when you land, your weight's just going to slap down onto the bike. You also risk sort of lifting off your pedals when doing that. So it's all about trying to roll to the back of the bike, stay nice and low. You've got that bend in your legs as well to then push the bike down to the ground or just soak up that landing. We've stepped it up a notch now. Check out the size of this drop off. It's definitely not rideable, and that is proved by the hundreds of grooves in here from people dragging their chain rings, pedals, and the hillside just drops away after it. So it's not really the size of the drop here that's going to catch you out, it's what happens after it. So the next big mistake that people make, especially when moving on to bigger drops, is brain freeze. If you actually look at the size of this drop off, it's not that big. It's only a couple of foot if you go nice and steady. However, it looks much bigger, and you can go 6, 8, 10 foot if you go a bit further. But what I'm talking about here is the brain freeze. The drop really isn't the problem, it's the run in and the run out. Because people focus so much on that drop off, they forget about these other parts to it. So this run in is quite technical, it's quite flat. You've got a 90-degree corner with not much support, and you want to roll in with a bit of speed, but if you mess this up, it doesn't matter about the drop, you're in trouble. Same on the way out. You can be concentrating so much on this, nail the drop off, got the technique, but realise then you're offline, you're in the ruts, and that's where the problem happens. So it's really a case of trying to think through the whole section, not just focusing on this, because it could be that catches you out. Another disadvantage of being too focused or even scared about a section is you might even stop breathing or blinking, and then your body starts to freeze up as well. So just try and breathe, try and relax and concentrate on your line, and you'll stay nice and loose on the bike. Another mistake that can be pretty catastrophic on drop-offs is moving too far back. So I always talk about getting to the back of the bike, potentially manualing. Sometimes you don't need to because you've got a bit more speed. But if you move too far back, hit your bum into the rear tyre, it's going to stall the bike and can send you over the bars. And I've seen this a lot of times in the fails and bails that people send in. Aston actually did this at the Fort William World Cup. He jumped on a 29er, because that is a difference. A bigger wheel, you've got less room than you think or you might be used to, and you hit the rear tyre, it really stalls the bike and big crashes can ensue. Even Dave Genvy, a fellow YouTuber, did that very thing on this very drop, and it ended in tears. So big thing is getting used to how much space you've got, and this is all about practicing, moving around the bike, practice manuals, until you almost just sort of drag your shorts a little bit, and then you just get used to it, you know how much space you've got. Of course, like I've just said, if you jump onto a bigger wheel bike, you have to get used to it all over again. Hitting the brakes in a panic when you come to a drop-off could be the worst thing you do. So of course, touching the brakes is just going to send your weight forward. So yes, I would still recommend covering your brakes at all times, but it's definitely a trick to try and stay off the brakes. Learning to just keep your head up, get your weight back when all goes wrong, and stay off the brakes does take a bit of practice. Right, so there's some common drop-off mistakes I've seen people make over the years, how to try and avoid them. Don't forget bike setup. If you're new to doing bigger drop-offs, you might want to go harder with your tyres and suspension than normal, because any mistake could be amplified by overloading your bike, or maybe your tyre even squirming. That could make things go even worse. If you want to see a video on how to manual, click over there for that one. That should help you out a little bit. And if you want to see Blake's recent video on some common jumping mistakes, over there for that one. Thumbs up if you like learning to do drop-offs, and hit that subscribe button.